Hello, my name is Henry R. Mockingbird, your host with the mustache.
Hi, I'm Gary.
And today's movie is a request made by Marsha Reynolds, who asked me to review the movie Pride and Prejudice. So, let's hop to it. A family of sisters have to marry rich men, or otherwise they'll be out on the street. Because they can't be property owners. What do I think? Well, I'll tell you. Well, I really like it. It has a very dry sense of humor. The relationship between Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy is both smart and snappy, involved with some witty banter. First, let's talk about some of the characters. First, there's Elizabeth. Elizabeth is an honest and also independent thinker, and she's willing to put Mr. Darcy in his place. A good example of this is when Elizabeth refuses to dance with Mr. Darcy. Elizabeth is played by Greer Garson, who was also in Goodbye Mr. Chips and also did the narration for The Little Drummer Boy. He was also in The Happiest Millionaire and Julius Caesar. Then there's Mr. Darcy, who starts out the film as kind of a snob, but really, he's a kind and generous gentleman. Mr. Darcy is played by Laurence Olivier. I had no idea that was Laurence Olivier. I best remember Laurence Olivier as Zeus from Clash of the Titans, so it was kind of odd to see him as a younger man. And then there's Mrs. Benton, who reminds me a hell of a lot of Mrs. Drysdale from the Beverly Hillbillies. Mrs. Benton is hellbound on finding rich husbands for her daughters. And then there's Jane Benton, played by Maureen O'Sullivan, who also played Jane in the Tarzan movies. Then there's Lydia Benton, played by Anne Rutherford, who you might remember from my Christmas Carol review. And then there's Lady Catherine, played by Edna May Oliver, who, in my opinion, gives one of her best roles as Lady Catherine. Whenever she wasn't on screen, I was patiently waiting for her to come back. She was literally that good. There are some good highlights, like the bow and arrow scene, and the scene where the Benton family and another family are racing each other to get home in coaches.
That's the real Bachelor game.
The movie was based on a book by Jane Austen by the same name. The film was directed by Robert Z. Leonard, who also directed The Dancing Lady, Great Ziegfeld, and Ziegfeld Girl, and he also made a cameo alongside Lucille Ball in Abbott and Costello in Hollywood. The movie was produced by Hunt Stormberg, who also produced The Great Ziegfeld, as well as The Women. I talked about most of the ups of the film. What are the downs of the film? Well, there are two. One problem with this movie is with the dialogue. meaning unless you're a fan of period pieces or Jane Austen's work as a whole, the dialogue can be rather confusing. In fact, what was it that C-3PO said in Attack of the Clones?
I'm so confused.
Yeah, that. This is a movie where you need to see it more than once just to get the dialogue. Other than that, I don't have anything bad to say about this movie. Well, except for Mary Benton, who has a singing voice that would give Pearl from the Beverly Hillbillies a run for her money. Seriously, was Paul Henning a fan of this movie? Well, that's pretty much all I have to say about Pride and Prejudice. But until next time, this is Henry R. Mockingbird, your host with the mustache, signing off. I give the film 5 stars. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to ring the bell for new content. If you would like to request an old school movie on this show, please do so by requesting it in the comments.